1, 2. whether the sun shines or the rain pours. The clouds that gather in the sky cannot dampen our joy as we celebrate this milestone. Can you hear me now? I don't know what to do. How do I turn it on? It's on. Sorry, y'all. It's on. It's just not picking me up. Is something wrong? Okay. Is that going to be good for you? All right. Testing. Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me now? All the time. Let's restart. In the spirit of prayer, let us bow our heads and our hearts. We are grateful, God, for this day and for the gift of your presence, whether the sun shines or the rain pours. The clouds that gather in the sky cannot dampen our joy as we celebrate this milestone. We are thankful, God, for families who have sacrificed and given support to make this graduation day possible. We are thankful for friends and family who have walked through the highest and lowest of moments with these graduates. We are grateful for faculty and staff who have challenged, mentored, cared for, and served these students during their college journey. We are grateful for friendship and for the ties that bind these graduates to each other and to those who have gone before and who will come after. We pray, God, that as their time as students on this campus draws to a close, that the members of the class of 2022 will walk forward with curious minds, with joyful spirits, and caring hearts, committed to service, to justice, and to peace. Amen. And you all may be seated.
Is that it? Can you hear me? Well, good morning and welcome to Emory and Henry College's Commencement program. It is my honor as president to convene this, the 174th ceremony of commencement at Emory and Henry College, Southwest Virginia's oldest institution of higher education. We have gathered here this morning to celebrate the achievements of the class of 2022. Graduates, as you transition to the next phase of your life, know that you are well prepared for what the future holds. You have been challenged, you have adapted, and you have persevered. You have learned the skills to not only do well for yourself, but to do good for others along the way. Because at Emory and Henry, we do not only educate the mind, we also educate the heart, and we're expecting great things from you. In this class of 2022, we have 139 students receiving a Bachelor of Arts degree, 7 receiving a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, 72 receiving a Bachelor of Science degree, and 25 receiving Masters of Education degrees. We have 14 students graduating Summa Cum Laude, 44 students graduating Magna Cum Laude, and 38 students graduating Cum Laude. We have a graduate from Pakistan and others representing 16 states. 2 of our graduates even hiked the length of the Appalachian Trail. We have a number of graduates who are legacy students. If you are a parent or grandparent of someone graduating today and you went to Emory and Henry, that is a special bond and we congratulate you. Would all of our alumni who are parents or grandparents of someone graduating today, would you please stand and let us recognize you? Graduates, all of you are transitioning to new lives of work and study. Many of you will be going on to graduate school in fields as varied as law, medicine, veterinary medicine, engineering, education, business, political science, chemistry, health sciences, exercise science, communications, and religion. One will be completing a master's in fine arts at Yale. Another will be going to grad school in Spain. 4 will be attending William & Mary's Master's in Business Analytics and Accountancy program. Another will be commissioned this afternoon as a U.S. Army infantry member in the National Guard before pursuing a career with the Virginia State Police. Others of you have accepted full-time employment teaching or coaching in accounting, banking, equestrian, theater, art, social services, medical fields, sales, flight attending, and communications, and another will be joining AmeriCorps. We salute all of you, class of 2022, for working hard to realize your dreams. You have a degree that teaches you to think and adapt over time as skills and technology change. As lifelong learners, you will be prepared to lead and to serve. As we honor our graduates, it is also important that we recognize the individuals who have supported you, comforted you, celebrated your accomplishments, and applauded your successes. Your journey here has been successful, and you have met your challenges because of the help you have received from others. First among your cheerleaders are your family members. On this Mother's Day weekend, would the mothers of our graduates please stand and be recognized? Now I would like to ask the remaining family members of all our graduates to please stand and also be recognized. The members of the college faculty constitute a second group that has played a central role in the experiences of our graduates. These teachers, scholars, and mentors are the ones who have guided, encouraged, challenged, and prepared the graduates for a successful, productive life beyond this campus. We at Emory & Henry have the finest college faculty in the land. I would invite the members of our faculty to stand so that graduates, parents, and friends may express their appreciation to you for a job well done. At this time, I would like to introduce members of the platform party and other special guests. As I introduce our guests, I ask them to stand and to remain standing until all introductions have been made. Please hold your applause until all introductions have been made. From my left, the members of the platform party, the Reverend Sharon Wright, chaplain at Emory & Henry. Dr. Jerry Jones, retired professor and our commencement speaker. Dr. Michael Puglisi, Provost and Executive Vice President, and finally, Dr. Ann Saluter, Chair of our College Board of Trustees, and John Holloway, our Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Please join me in recognizing the platform party. I would also like to recognize other special guests here today who are located in the Brooks Field House. Nancy Gerritsen, wife of DeFries Award winner Dr. Steve Fisher, and Tina Atkins, twin sister of DeFries Award winner Tony Atkins. Please join me in welcoming these special guests. At Emory & Henry College, it is customary for a member of the senior class to speak at commencement. In keeping with this tradition, I am happy to introduce Kat Swigert, who was selected by her classmates to deliver the senior oration today. Kat is from Bridgewater, Virginia. She earned her Bachelor of Arts magna cum laude with a major in mass communications and a minor in art graphic design. She has been a member of the Emory & Henry swim team, a lifeguard, student design instructor for athletic communications, supplemental instructor in graphic design, and president of Delta Omicron Pi Social Sorority. She has indeed taken advantage of all of her opportunities while being a student at Emory and Henry. Kat plans to attend King University following graduation to pursue a master's in business administration. While there, she will serve as the swim team's assistant coach. The title of her remarks is The E&H Experience. Please join me in welcoming Kat Swigert to the podium to deliver the senior oration on behalf of the class of 2022.
Thank you, President Wells, for the generous introduction. I would like to start by saying hello to my probably surprised family up there in the stands. Now is probably a good time to tell you that I will be speaking at graduation. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to the family, friends, faculty, and professors who have gathered here today, but especially the moms and motherly figures in the crowd. Happy Mother's Day. We appreciate you sharing your weekend with us. Sometimes I find it fun to look back on your freshman year to try and figure out what was real and what might have been a fever dream. Spoiler alert, it was all real. Freshman year just felt like one big fever dream. It's no secret that Emory can be a hard place to stay at. I'm sure we have all said goodbye to a friend or two as they ventured somewhere away from here. That being said, all of you sitting in front of me obviously found something to keep you here. Whether that was your sports team, a roommate turned to a best friend, a particular professor, or your love for the school and studying. Or maybe the most probable explanation, the exquisite cafeteria food? Maybe it was something a little bit more unique than that. For me, it was a group of friends who decided to create an improv club named the Lonely Pears. Yeah, that's right. The thing that kept me at Emory was a group of people who made me take a bite of a pear to be initiated into a group. A big shout out to Carter, Mac, David, Jared, Braxton, Will, Emily, and Lauren. I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for you guys. Freshman year turned to sophomore year, a year where most of us finally found our groove and maybe started to enjoy college. But news of a virus circulating around China started to spread, and we continued to make beer jokes until our 1 week spring break turned to 2, which then turned to nothing being normal ever again. We moved classes online and were somehow expected to pick up where we left off, when the world was crumbling around us. But we made it. Many group chats were made, and I know I speak for each and every single one of us when I say that we never considered breaking the honor code. Junior year was a year of adaptation and only seeing the top half of our classmates' faces. We played sports with masks on, walked to class in the 80-degree heat with masks on, and did pretty much anything other than sleep with masks on. Some of you sitting in front of me may have joined us in the middle of our 4 years here, while others of you may be taking an extra victory lap or two. Regardless, we're all here, right now, graduating. Now, I am in no way qualified to give you guys advice. You may be expecting me to stand up here and talk about Dr. Seuss and the places you'll go, or give a reading of an inspirational poem. Instead, I would like to encourage you to think about your experiences here at Emory and Henry. You know, experiences like showering in 2 inches of standing water because a Mawa shower doesn't drain. Or eating mashed potatoes, corn, chicken nuggets, and gravy on a Monday for the 13th week in a row this semester. Having a house freshman after Hickory flooded for the 3rd time. Struggling through mind tats for Spanish class, and once again, never thinking about breaking the honor code. Playing ride the bus with a group of friends on a Saturday night and maybe regretting a couple of your decisions in the morning. And lastly, maybe the most controversial of them all, thinking we'll be able to enjoy a brand new basketball court during our last year here, but instead watching a concrete slab sit untouched for an entire year. But on a more serious note, we also experienced things like amazing internships, research opportunities, and maybe even a job offer because of this school. This is a special thing about Emory. We each had our own individual experience, yet we all shared so many experiences. Good or bad, I hope you recognize each of those experiences brought some kind of lesson. Whether it was learning how to handle a situation better in the future, or you learned something about yourself that allowed you to grow. Some of you have decided to attend more school, while others of you may be about to start new jobs. Maybe some of you have no idea what's coming, and that is okay too. No matter what is ahead of you, I encourage you to take what this school has taught you and run with it. Use your Emory and Henry experience, if you will. Had to include the title somewhere. We didn't take all of these liberal arts classes for nothing. You are ready, full of experiences, and that will benefit you in the days to come. So, here's to us. May we remember each other every time the song Feathered Indians by Tyler Childers plays at a bar, or you hear the sound of cornhole bags hitting a board. That one's for Townhouse 8D. Congratulations, class of 22. I hope your Emory and Henry experiences take you far.
Thank you, Kat, for those remarks. I can tell you have a bright future ahead, and we all wish you the best of luck. At this time, I would like to say a word of thanks to the Emory and Henry Brass Ensemble, directed by Dr. Matt Frederick, for our music today. Let's give them a round of applause. Today we have both undergraduate and graduate students receiving their degrees from Emory and Henry College. Accordingly, we believe it is appropriate to hear from one of our graduate students, since this is a special day for them as well. Representing our graduate students is Mount Carmel, Tennessee native Josie Salyer. Josie graduated Summa Cum Laude from Emory and Henry last year with a Bachelor of Arts degree where she majored in interdisciplinary English and pre-K through 6th grade teacher prep. Today, she has completed the degree requirements for a Master's of Education, which proves the old saying, the only thing better than having a degree from Emory and Henry is having 2 degrees from Emory and Henry. During her time at Emory and Henry, Josie was captain of the women's basketball team, where she was recognized all 4 years with academic all-conference awards, and her senior year with an all-state academic award. Josie was also a resident advisor, president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, peer mentor, and supplemental instructor. She has accepted a position with the Knox County, Tennessee school system, where she will teach 2nd grade next year. Her remarks are entitled, Preparing for Life After Graduation, What Do I Do When I Don't Know What to Do? Please join me in welcoming Josie Salyer to the podium to deliver the Master's Oration on behalf of the class of 2022.
Good morning. What a blessing it is to be here among family, friends, mentors, and colleagues to celebrate this momentous occasion. It is indeed a celebration, a milestone, and a moment we graduates will hold dear to our hearts as we leave our alma mater and begin the rest of our lives. I'd like to thank the Education Department and everyone else who played a part in allowing me the opportunity and privilege to stand before you and speak today. There are few people in this world who are more dedicated to what they do than the members of the Education Department. They truly embody what it means to serve others and increase in excellence daily. For that, I admire each of you and I thank you. As I was writing this speech, I kept wondering what I could say in a limited amount of time that would register not only in our minds but in our hearts as well. What could I say to a group of people who are about to go into classrooms, labs, businesses, and studios? What could I say that would be applicable and meaningful to such a diverse group of people who are about to travel vastly different pathways? After much consideration, I finally decided upon a simple question. This question, I'm certain, is something we have all asked ourselves at one point in time. You may think it's too simple, perhaps you'll think it's silly, but I believe it holds truth that we need to uncover on this special morning. The question is, what do I do when I don't know what to do? We graduates are going to undoubtedly ask ourselves this question countless times as we begin our careers and our lives after college. We are going to be confused. We are going to feel lost. We are going to be confronted with plenty of questions and hardships. So in those moments, what do we do? I believe there are 2 solutions. There are 2 things you are always in control of, no matter your situation. These are two things my dad taught me and my sister throughout our childhood, and I hope to impart these things to you today. The first is attitude. Your attitude is something that you always have control of. You get to control your outlook towards any situation. When you don't know what to do, you can hang your head, become discouraged, give up, or you can remain positive, open-minded, and maybe even optimistic. Will you let your circumstances define who you are, or will you choose to persevere? Is it always easy to be positive? By no means. We're all sitting in the rain. We're probably not very positive right now, and that's not what I'm trying to convey to you today. We will endure challenges. We will inevitably feel discouraged or frustrated at times. Jesus tells us in John 16:33, "In the world you will have tribulation." He didn't say we might, he said we will. But listen to what he said next. "Take heart, I have overcome the world." Take heart. There is hope, he tells us. We are to take heart and choose to change our attitude, because anything that could disrupt your life has already been overcome by the Savior. American poet Maya Angelou described these types of situations best. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. The second solution to this question, and the second thing you are always in control of, is your effort. You control how hard you work at something, just as you control the time you put into something. When you don't know what to do, you can decide to give an intentional, dedicated effort despite adverse circumstances. The Apostle Paul explained it this way when he wrote to the ancient church in Galatia, "And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." We will collect, we will harvest, we will triumph at the designated time if we strive to give our best effort. Jim Valvano, Jimmy V, an American college basketball player, broadcaster, and coach, as he was nearing the end of a commendable battle against cancer, said it best: "Don't give up, don't ever give up." So, what do I do when I don't know what to do? I consider my attitude first. I actively decide to stay positive amid unfortunate events. I choose to look for the silver lining, for the good, for hope. Then I consider my effort. I ask myself, am I doing the absolute best that I can do, or am I settling for less than I am capable of? Am I doing everything I can to change my situation, or am I letting my situation define me? In closing, I won't stand here and pretend that I have life all figured out. I won't pretend as if I have the answer to every question or every challenge in life. But what I do have is truth. This truth, I hope, will give you encouragement and peace as you navigate life's unexpected challenges. Commit everything you do to the Lord, King David wrote in Psalm 37:5. Trust him, and he will help you. In the meantime, graduates, as you leave this place today and begin this new, exciting phase of life, when you don't know what to do, I hope you remember the two things in life you are always in control of: your attitude and your effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Josie, for those wonderful comments. I'm sure that you will be a great representative of the teaching profession. It is the tradition at Emory and Henry College to present a select number of awards to graduating seniors during the annual commencement ceremony. I am pleased to announce these awards and ask that the recipients come forward as their names are called. The Byers Medal in Science was established in 1855 by Colonel William Byers, one of Emory and Henry's founders, and is awarded to the graduating senior who has compiled the most outstanding academic record in the sciences. I am pleased to announce that the 2022 recipient of the Byers Medal in Science is Elizabeth Danielle Combs. The Eleanor Gibson Via Science Award was established in 1970 by the 13th president of the college, Dr. Foy G. Gibson and Mrs. Gibson, as a memorial to their daughter. The award recognizes a female candidate for the Bachelor of Science degree for marked achievement and unusual promise for future service. I am pleased to announce that the 2022 recipient of the Eleanor Gibson Via Science Award is Taylor Brianna Malden. The Senior Service Award is bestowed by a vote of the faculty upon a member of the senior class in recognition of unusual and distinctive service to Emory and Henry College. This year, there was a tie in the voting. So I am pleased to announce that the 2022 recipients of the Senior Service Award are Sierra Caldwell McCrae and Alicia Elena Moretta. The Snavely Senior Scholarship Prize, established by Dr. Tipton R. Snavely, a member of the class of 1912, honors the student who holds the highest academic average in the senior class. This year, there were actually 3 individuals with a perfect 4.0 grade point average, which is extraordinary. I'm pleased to announce that the recipients of the 2022 Snavely Senior Scholarship Prize are Mary Madison Brewer, Lakin Lachelle Crockett, and Abby Jane Mills. The Outstanding Senior Awards are selected by a vote of the faculty and honor 2 representatives from the senior class for outstanding records of campus leadership and academic scholarship. The recipients of the Outstanding Senior Awards were presented at Awards Day and are listed in your program, but we want to recognize them here today. They are Claire Inez Carter and Elizabeth Danielle Combs. If Claire and Elizabeth would stand to be recognized. I am happy at this time to recognize Dr. Ann Sluter, Chair of the Emory and Henry Board of Trustees and a member of our class of 1981, who will introduce our DeFries Award winners.
Thank you, Dr. Puglisi. And as one alum standing up here to confer recognition on another alum from my era, to those of you who are about to become Emory and Henry alums, welcome to this community of ongoing connection that you're about to join. The William and Martha DeFries Award is made to an alumnus or faculty member who has made some outstanding, worthwhile contribution to civilization or humanity in any of a number of specified categories. The award, which includes a medal and a cash stipend, was established in 1951 by Frank W. DeFries Sr. and John Clark in honor of their parents, William R. DeFries and Martha Jane Clark DeFries. Because no award was given in 2020 or 2021 due to COVID, the selection committee opted to make 2 awards this year, one to a distinguished alumna, the other to her mentor and a professor emeritus. At this time, I ask Dr. Steve Fisher to join us for the presentation of our first DeFries Award. Steve Fisher grew up in the coal fields of West Virginia. His father was a coal miner. He witnessed firsthand how many miners performing back-breaking work suffered from black lung and debilitating physical injuries. He saw how some companies put profits ahead of workplace safety and environmental concerns. He began to ask why the people of the Appalachian region would export their enormous mineral wealth, yet suffer from extreme poverty, low wages, inadequate health care, and poor educational opportunities. After completing a bachelor's degree at Wake Forest and his master's at Tulane, Steve Fisher found his voice at Emory and Henry, where he began teaching political science courses while completing his PhD at Tulane. During a remarkable 35-year tenure, Dr. Fisher asked students to envision the type of world they wanted to live in, then challenged them to work to make it happen. He asked the tough questions of his students that forced many uncomfortable and forced them to confront issues of inequality, injustice, homelessness, food insecurity, and wage and income disparity. He was a tireless advocate for women's issues, LGBTQ rights, and social justice concerns long before progressives like AOC were even born. Some probably thought Steve Fisher was a 60s hippie or radical leftist, but his guiding principle was to question the status quo and make his students think. Teaching students critical thinking skills is the #1 job of professors at a liberal arts institution. He may not recall, but as a science major, natural science major, I took one of his introductory courses to fulfill a disciplinary requirement. And he tried to convince me to become a political science major. I remained a natural science major, and while the natural sciences taught me to approach problems with rigor, I have often told people since that in the quality of a liberal arts education, what I learned about choosing problems that matter came in large part from that one course that I took with Dr. Fisher. I thus count myself amongst many of an entire generation of Emory and Henry students in which Dr. Fisher instilled the desire to make things better than they found them, to question authority when they encountered abuse, mistreatment, neglect, or indifference towards the suffering of our fellow human beings. Dr. Fisher challenged his students to find a way to treat all people as we would like to be treated, with dignity and respect. That may sound familiar. Thousands of years after Jesus asked the same of us, it still sounds a little radical. Similarly, John Wesley, one of the founders of Methodism, challenged us all to do all of the good for all of the people we could for as long as we could. And Dr. Steve Fisher did the same. He created a unique interdisciplinary program in public policy and community service at Emory and Henry that taught legions of students to get involved and make a difference at the local level. When a group of women students approached Dr. Fisher about the fact that Emory and Henry was not offering a women's study course, he agreed to offer the class, but he quickly pointed out that he rather obviously lacked an ability to personally understand the viewpoint of a woman. So he served as mentor and resource for the class, but asked the students to teach the course. From a class of fewer than 10 students, the alumni of that course included a Virginia governor appointee who oversaw the functional end of homelessness for Virginia military veterans, a faculty member at James Madison University who started a major in social justice, and one of the most powerful people in California political leadership also being honored today. Dr. Fisher founded what was then called the Appalachian Center for Community Service and worked with faculty and administrators to ensure that every student that walked through our doors had to engage in some kind of community service during their time here. Many of you have lived that legacy that he has left to the college. By doing so, they would have a better appreciation for how those fortunate among us struggle, how those less fortunate among us struggle daily for necessities that many of us take for granted. And that service would also teach students important leadership skills that they would use beyond Emory and Henry. In 1999, Dr. Fisher was recognized as the U.S. Professor of the Year at a baccalaureate institution. Shortly after he retired in 2006, Emory and Henry received the President's Award for Community Service, the highest federal award presented to institutions of higher education for civic engagement. Emory and Henry was the first college or university in Virginia to be so recognized. Accordingly, for his outstanding contributions in the field of education, we are pleased to award the William and Martha DeFries Award to Dr. Stephen L. Fisher on the occasion of the 174th commencement of Emory and Henry College. Dr. Fisher, congratulations and well deserved. Would the faculty marshal please escort Tony Atkins to the podium for the presentation of our second DeFries Award. Tony Atkins was a first-generation college student from nearby Wythe County, Virginia, when she arrived at Emory and Henry in the fall of 1980. Like most of us, she wasn't sure whether she would fit in or whether she would be accepted. Her father was a coal miner who had moved the family to Wythe County for a better life. Her mother was a seamstress. They worked hard to provide for their family, but it was difficult. At one point, the family lived in a house with no indoor plumbing. Tony Atkins was also struggling with issues of sexual identity during a time when many in the mountains of Appalachia were not supportive. So it would seem the odds were against her. But Tony Atkins thrived at Emory and Henry with the help of one professor who understood the struggles she and her family faced. That professor was Dr. Steve Fisher, who became Tony's mentor, her motivation, and her inspiration. Tony became a political science major and began to question why so many hard-working families struggled with basic economic issues, like trying to put food on the table, a roof over their heads, or provide a quality education for their children, and a living wage along with health care. As he did with all of his students, Dr. Fisher challenged Tony to envision the kind of world that she wanted to live in, then go out and work to make it happen. Well, that is exactly what she has done. Unsure what to do following graduation from Emory and Henry, Tony picked up and moved to San Diego, with her twin sister Tina, who had joined the Navy. Toni got a job working at a women's center and before long was named its director. She began working as an aide to a powerful city council member, an LGBTQ trailblazer, then campaigned successfully to replace her when her friend was elected to the state legislature. Toni worked hard representing her constituents and became an effective advocate for affordable housing, veterans issues, the environment, women's issues, health care, and LGBTQ rights. She served as deputy mayor of San Diego and became interim mayor after the mayor was forced to resign. She earned the praise of colleagues for her collaborative outreach during a tumultuous period. Shortly thereafter, she ran for and was elected to the California Assembly, where peers recognizing her political talents and organizational skills selected her to serve as majority leader, then Speaker of the California Assembly, making her the first openly gay person to serve in that capacity. Being term limited, she next ran for and won a seat in the California Senate, where she serves today as the State Senate Pro Tempore, or majority leader, in the nation's most populous, diverse, and dynamic state. Atkins is motivated every day to go to work and use the tools of government to make the lives of her constituents better by focusing on the fundamental economic issues that matter most to them. Issues and solutions she learned about here at Emory and Henry. Issues and structural inequities that Steve Fisher challenged her and her classmates to address so they would leave things just a little bit better than they found them. That is a challenge that Toni Atkins happily accepted and dedicated her life to improving. And by so doing, she has risen to the highest levels of government in her adopted state of California, where she even got to serve as interim governor for part of a day. She was even on the short list of those being considered by the governor for appointment to the U.S. Senate seat vacated by Senator Kamala Harris when she was elected vice president. There's more history to be written about Toni, I'm sure, and about how she went from the hallowed halls of Emory and Henry to the marbled halls of state government in Sacramento, so stay tuned. But for now, in the category of honor, we are pleased to award the William and Martha DeFries Award to Toni G. Atkins on the occasion of the 174th commencement of Emory and Henry College. Toni, congratulations.
In his 2011 book, Go and Come Again, author Jerry Jones talks about how the U.S. Supreme Court ended racially segregated schools in 1954 with its landmark decision in Brown versus Board of Education, but how public schools in Washington County, Virginia, where he was born and raised, did not fully integrate until 1965, about the time he graduated from the all-black Frederick Douglass High School in Bristol, where he was bused daily to school. He discusses how shortcomings of public school education for African Americans existed for generations and details his experiences as well as those of his mother's generation, who as a single mother struggled financially to provide for herself and her young man. But there is something inspirational about Jerry Jones's story. He could have been bitter about his situation in life, but he chose to continue his education at Virginia State University, a historically black college and university, where he received his master's in education, and then at Virginia Tech, where he earned his doctorate in education. Dr. Jones taught business courses in a Maryland high school for several years before landing a job at J. Sargent Reynolds Community College in Richmond, Virginia. He retired from there in 2001 after 27 years teaching computer courses to return to Glade Spring to be the sole caregiver for his mother, who lived to be 93 years old. Dr. Jones began working at Emory and Henry in 2001 as a visiting professor of computer information management. He returned to the United Methodist Church he grew up in and can be found there most Sundays playing hymns on the piano. If you have ever heard him play, it is a real treat. Jerry became a certified lay speaker in the United Methodist Church and was elected to the town council in Glade Spring. He is a well-known and respected local historian, talented musician, and civic leader whose life story inspires many of us. His background, his work ethic, his devotion to family and to his community, and his remarkably positive attitude through it all make him the perfect speaker for today. He has entitled his remarks, Unspeakable Joy. Please welcome my friend, Dr. Jerry Jones.
Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you, President Wells, distinguished platform guests, class of 2022, distinguished guests, faculty and staff, family members, everybody. I stand before you. I better put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. I stand before you this morning with a proud sense of humility that you would even consider me as a speaker for this auspicious occasion goes beyond anything that I could imagine, anything I could ponder, anything that I could dream. Thank you so much. If you haven't done anything like this before, what should you do to prepare? Well, I Googled it, and that's what you do in the 21st century. If you don't know how to do something, you Google it. Here's what Google had to say about being a commencement speaker. Number one, it's an honor. Number two is not about the speaker, it's about the graduates. Could I get an amen for that? And number three, keep it short and simple. Could I get a louder amen for that? It also helps that I have attended about 18 commencements at Emory and Henry. I didn't miss a one. So what did I learn? There were many outstanding speakers. Some of them I remember, some of them I don't. There were two former governors, Governor Holton, who grew up in this part of Virginia, and then there was Governor Wilder from Richmond. Ironically, he and I were in Richmond for decades, and I had to come all the way back to Emory just to meet him, and it was exciting. Then there was another person from Wythe County. We just honored a Wytheville native. There was another Wytheville native. He was an African-American. He is an African-American opera singer. And so when he gave his speech, when he stopped, he raised his hands and started singing opera. At least you don't have to worry about me raising my hands and singing anything. It's just a few words and I'll be sitting down. From these speakers and others, the main thing I learned is that everybody has to do their own thing. Of all the 18 speakers, I guess everybody did their thing. So what is my thing? My thing is to congratulate the students, to congratulate everyone who is weathering the storm this morning. I'm sort of nervous because I'm cold, but I'll be just fine. Many of you came to Emory and Henry about 2018, more or less, students. Some of you may be a little earlier. Some of you may be a little later. But I'm here to tell you that all of you, every single one of you, I consider you heroes. You are my heroes. And you might say, well, why is that? You don't even know me. Well, you survived 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of hard work. But the pandemic changed everything. So what I'm going to ask you to do, which is a little bit atypical, is to take a moment and congratulate yourself. So let's have all the graduates to applaud themselves right now. Later today, you will realize that you have made it. It puts me in the mind of a song that we used to sing back in the days when I had my own gospel choir at age 12. Wonder how that was. And one of the songs we used to sing was How I Got Over. So later today, when you least expect it, you're going to say, I really did it. I really got over. I really made it. And I even did it in a time when it was difficult, extremely difficult. I thought my years were difficult, but it was nothing compared to what some of you experienced in the past 2 years. And while I'm talking about giving out praise, may I take a moment to join in and recognize my former colleagues, the faculty and staff of Emory and Henry College. Y'all are awesome. And am I allowed to say awesome if I'm over 70? I think so. All right. What did you do in the past 2 years? Well, you Zoomed it, you emailed it, you texted it, you called it, you hybrid it, you pebble patted it, and you Janzabarred it, whatever that is. The bottom line is you did it. Could we get some praise for the faculty one more time? During my many years at Emory and Henry, about 20 years roughly, I've often heard it said that this college is known for changing lives of its students. That is true. It does. I hear it from students all the time. Eventually, we may hear it from some of you. I would love to hear your story. This is my personal side of it. But if Emory and Henry has changed your life, send me an email and tell me about it. We might find a way to put your story in one of my upcoming books. Could I get an amen for that? Emory and Henry changes the lives of students, but could it also be that it would change the life of faculty members too? I say yes. And my personal story, some of my personal story, might lead you to conclude that that is true. Have to tell you this, back in 2001, when I moved back to this area, having taught in Baltimore, followed by Richmond, for a total of 32 years of teaching, I guess I was old when I got here. So that probably means that I'm ancient now, but that's okay. My one and only sibling had just died. My mother's Alzheimer's was more apparent. I had like a fog around me. I was moving around, but I just didn't know where I was going. And then there was this also itchiness about, well, will I be good enough to teach at Emory? I grew up in Glade Spring, which is only 3 or 4 miles from Emory, and from a distance, I knew that this was a great school. And even though I had been teaching 32 years and had never felt this when I went for any other job, there was something about coming to Emory and Henry that made me wonder, can I do this? Do I have what it takes? And there were some things in my life that I just didn't talk about before I wrote that book. The elementary school that I went to in Glade Spring was called the Glade Spring Colored Elementary School. I didn't talk about that. I didn't talk about being bused all the way to Bristol to high school. I didn't talk about going to Virginia State College, as it was then, which once upon a time, before I got there, was referred to as Virginia State College for Negroes. So in other words, I had this negative mindset about me. And I said, how am I going to get over this? It's summer, and I'm supposed to start teaching in a few weeks. How am I going to get over this? One day I was on campus. The dean told me I didn't have to go to any meetings or anything because I was an adjunct professor. Basically, adjuncts teach their class and then they go home. But one day I decided to come on campus and just check it out and see what's going on. And I went into the chapel. I don't know what was going on. I don't know what was said. But at the end of the chapel event, there was the choir coming up to sing. And I was sort of a musician, not trained, but still a musician. And so I said, I wonder what they're going to sing. Well, it turned out it was "The Lord Bless You and Keep You." And all of a sudden I started crying. I said, am I having a panic attack or something? I'm a grown man. Men don't cry. Why was I crying over this song? It dawned on me that that was the same song that we used to sing in the all-black high school in Bristol some 40 years before. And then I realized my coming to Emory with whatever title for however long wasn't all about me. It was about some of the people that I might represent. Any number of people in this area of color, black people, if you will, felt marginalized because we just didn't have everything we needed educational-wise. And so I realized that I was suffering from an ailment. I'll call it less than-itis. Did you hear that? Less than-itis. But after I heard that song and realized I would be representing some of the teachers that I had. I had one teacher who, by the way, is still alive, high school teacher, still alive at age 101. She taught me 8th grade math. She taught me Algebra 1. She was the advisor to the student council. I was council president. I'm not bragging, but you know. And she was also librarian. In other words, teachers back then were multitasking before the word had been invented. So why do I tell you that story? Simply because some of you graduates may have issues in your past. Things didn't go just how you thought they should go. Family just didn't do what you thought they should do. Friends didn't do what you thought they should do. And all I'm saying is you need to leave it back there where it is and move on. One other thing I share with you is that historically I'm not an extrovert. I'm more like an introvert. I don't want to be in front of people much unless I just have to. This is changing my life, looking at this many people now. I probably won't be able to sleep tonight. I may have nightmares. Many people are shocked when I say that I brought humor into most of my classes. Most people, when they find out that I taught programming and computer courses, there's nothing funny about programming. There's nothing funny about computers. But I've managed to find humor in almost everything. So my suggestion to all of you graduates is look for humor. It's there. Just keep on looking. One other point that I share with you, and I'm sort of condensing some of this because we need to move on this. Stay close to your family. Say please and thank you. Send thank you notes. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Laugh, love, and RESPECT. Expect the unexpected, the good and the bad. I didn't expect to teach at Emory for 20 years, and I sure didn't expect to speak for commencement in 2022. Now, this next point is a little tricky, so bear with me. In accounting, you have assets and liabilities. Some assets are referred to as intangible assets. Goodwill is an intangible asset. So here's what I want each graduate to do right now. I want you to think of something positive that has happened to you since you have been at Emory and Henry, something that would be considered intangible. And if someone says, I don't know what he's talking about, here's an example. You had to go to urgent care or the emergency room, and someone was very kind to you. No money exchanged hands. Someone said something nice to you. Another example of an intangible. You like this mountainous area. Even when it's raining, you still like it. Number 3, you found an interesting church that you went to a lot and you liked going there. Now here's the hard part. If there is an intangible asset that you can think of in having been here for 2 or 3 or 4 years, would that intangible or intangibles cause you to accept a job in this area, especially if you are not from here? Why am I asking that question? I think I know the answer already. The answer is many of you who are from other places would say, I don't want to live there. Nothing there. And some places have more nothing than other places do, if you know what I'm saying. My response is simple. Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee are looking for some pioneers. Pioneers who have a mindset similar to those American pioneers of the 17 and 1800s who left the comforts of the East Coast and settled in unexplored areas of the West. Consider this the new frontier. We would love to have you. Just think about it. And the last thing, could I get an amen for the last thing? All right. The title of my speech was, or is, Unspeakable Joy. Many people have criticized me because they think nobody could be that happy most of the time. But it's really true. But it took me, 50, 60, or even 70 years to work on it. When I was a kid, I remember being in church, and one of the older ladies of the church, her husband had been dead for decades. And someone asked her, Mrs. Smith, do you ever think about marrying again? And her response was something like this. She said, the type of love that I had with my husband was that old kind of love. You feel it in your bones. I didn't know what she was talking about. Nowadays, I think I know. There's a certain degree of happiness, a certain degree of joy that's hard to explain. Some people have it, some people want to have it, and some people will never have it. I wish for all of you total joy, unspeakable joy, the kind of joy that goes all the way to your bones. In the midst of turmoil and tribulation, you have a calmness about you. When other people are in your presence, they feel better having been around you than before they got to you. There's a gospel singer, director by the name of Kirk Franklin. And one of his songs is simply entitled Joy. Joy, joy, God's great joy. Joy, joy down in your soul. Beautiful, beautiful, soul-saving joy. Joy, joy in my soul. For someone like me, more introvert than extrovert, giving this speech should have been a bit crazy. But guess what? It's been a total joy. Thank you.
Jerry, thank you for your wonderful and inspiring remarks. We are grateful to you for your dedicated service to the college and to our community. Well, graduates, your moment has arrived. I am honored to recognize the academic achievements of the class of 2022. Today we have undergraduate students who are receiving a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science degree with distinction. Their outstanding academic performance is noted in the program. Summa Cum Laude is the highest academic honor here at Emory and Henry. Students achieving this distinction have maintained an overall grade point average of 3.9 or higher on a 4.0 scale during all of their years of undergraduate study. Will the students who are graduating today with that distinction, Summa Cum Laude, please stand at this time and remain standing. You may be seated. Magna Cum Laude is the next highest academic honor here at Emory and Henry. Students achieving this distinction have maintained an overall grade point average of at least 3.6 during all of their years of undergraduate study. Will the students who are graduating today with the distinction Magna Cum Laude please stand at this time so that we might congratulate you. Thank you. Cum laude is a distinction of honor provided to students who have maintained an overall grade point average of at least 3.3 during all of their years of undergraduate study. Will the students who are graduating today with the distinction cum laude please stand at this time and remain standing so that we might congratulate you. Thank you. A number of our students are receiving a college honors diploma, and those are noted in your program. These individuals are members of the College Honors Program who have attained at least a 3.5 grade point average, have completed at least 30 honors credits, and who successfully completed an honors thesis or project. Would those students who are receiving a college honors diploma please rise and let us recognize you? As you will notice this morning, there is a variety of cords, ribbons, stoles, and medallions representing various academic honors, study abroad, or service as part of the regalia on our graduates. A description of those items can be found in the program. We are proud of all of our graduates. At this time, I ask all of the candidates for Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Fine Arts, and Bachelor of Science degrees to stand and remain standing.
President Wells, these candidates have been approved for graduation by the faculty of Emory and Henry College according to the policy set forth by the Board of Trustees. Having successfully completed all academic requirements, they are fully qualified for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Fine Arts, or Bachelor of Science, or they will be fully qualified upon conclusion of the summer session and satisfaction of their academic requirements.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Commonwealth of Virginia and the Emory and Henry College Board of Trustees, and with pride and affection, I confer upon those eligible at this time the baccalaureate degree with all of the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining hereunto. Please be seated.
Would the Marshal please escort the candidates for the baccalaureate degrees to the platform for the awarding of their diplomas from Emory and Henry College. Christy Lynn Arnold. Samuel Evan Barnett. Bryant Bautista. Jason Andrew Beckner. Raheem Jackson Bellamam. Tyler Randall Brubaker. Barry Lee Broadnax Jr. Lila Sophia Brusky. Emily Grace Bunn. Emily Faith Carberry. Claire Inez Carter. DeAndre A. Chambliss. Mary Elizabeth Chura. Kanan David Clark. Wesley Gordon Clements. Nicholas Ryan Cook. Callie Francis Cox. Jaden Cheyenne Crabtree. Emily Nicole Davis. J.C. Alexander Delp. Emily Marie Doherty. Delaney Faith Dunn. Eliana Danielle Durham. Sarah Elizabeth Dutton. Tyler Javon Easley. David Grant Diamond Eldridge. Kian Jasper Freeman. Alyssa Ann Funk. William Parker Gaines. Daquiri Crystal Gentry. Caroline Taylor Gilbert. Stedman Courtney Graham. Jordan Alexander Grant. Brian Antonio Griffin, Jr. Marina Lee Gross. Calla Catherine Hatterer. Faith Hamblin. Leah Helen Haskins. Aura Star Heights. Mackenzie Robert Henningsen. Emily Danielle Hibbets. Lakin Brianna Hill. Alexis Renee Hoppers. Caitlin Lee Howell. Sophia Ann Inchausti. Olivia Grace Jesse. Mary Catherine Ann Jones. Braxton Pierce Justice. Isfandiar Masoom Khan. Jared Andrew Klutz. Adrian Kimlin LaBoy. Kevin Lambert. Christopher Wayne Largen. Daniela Isabella Lima. Vanessa Sarai Lopez. Caitlin Nicole Manuel. Archer Nave Marlowe. Madison G. McMillian. Madison Olivia Medley. Morgan Lynn Melton. Haley Elizabeth Miller. Abby Jane Mills. Haley Shea Mintz. Carter McLean Momsen Hudson. Alicia Elena Moretta. Desiree Taylor Morton. Leah Therese Mumpower. Grant Myers. Lauren Brianne Nath. Delaney E. Nagy. Rebecca Allison Pagnini. Zachy A. Pendergrass. Orville Nelson Peterson III. Ivan Watson Phillips. Lauren G. Pratt. Savannah Hart Presley. Miranda Jason Quarles. Edward Rajner. Michaela Page Rakes. Hannah Ruth Reed. Dylan Blake Roberts. Laurel A. Roberts. Christopher Leonard Robertson. Rosalind Marina Rodriguez. Zane Seymour. Jerry Lynette Skeens. Caleb Joshua Smith. Logan Alexander Smith. Ty Brennan Smith. Peyton K. Spencer. Daniel Wayne Starnes. Morgan Faith Stone. Sarah K. Sturgill. Catherine Swigert. Yasmin Thorpe. Haley Jane Tilley. Cortez Monterio Walker. Joshua David Wallman. Gabriel Kane Patrick West. Anthony Shamar Williams. Carly Hope Williams. Hope Lauren Williams. Brittany Michelle Willis. Tyler Kenneth Wills. Dalton Cole Wilson. Noah Alexander Wilson. Joshua Andrew Woodard. Clay Benjamin Woods. Lauren Renee Zayer. Jonathan Jeremiah Adams. Derek S. Akers. Victoria Christina Barrent. Maureen Daniel Besnay Cullinane. Assisting with the presentation of her diploma is her mother and registrar specialist in our registrar's office, Margaret Cullinane. Ty Bradford Blevins. Sydney Grace Bowman. Mary Madison Brewer. James Timothy Brooks. Connor Trent Buchanan. Assisting with the presentation of Connor's diploma is his mother and our faculty marshal, Dr. Rebecca Buchanan. Elijah Wynn Chapman. Haley Brooke Collins. Elizabeth Danielle Combs. Jamie Nicole Cox. Lakin Lachelle Crockett. Kyle Davis. Emily Grace DeBoard. Keely Hart Doyle. Brody Fields. Destiny Fulton. Jamelyn Gillespie. Logan McBride Graham. Gunnar Harding Griffith. Mackenzie Gwynn. Nathan Andrew Hamilton. Olivia Lauren Amo Harris. William Miles Harrison. Hartley Cole Hilton. Peyton Holt. Jeffrey Scott Herlock. Donovan Keith Jackson. Abigail K. Jennings. Andrea Langley. William Blake Medeiros. Taylor Malden. Issa Mayo Pitts. Sierra Caldwell McCrae. Callie Grace McMurray. Mackenzie Alexis Mendler. Michael Isaiah Mincy. Jacob Joseph Moore. Michael Anthony Morris. Jillian Holiday Nix. Madison Lee Patrick. James Morgan Patterson. Grayson Elizabeth Peary. Assisting with the presentation of Grayson's diploma is her mother and our Human Resources Director, Tracy Peary. Haley Jean Ratliff. Will Regan. Luke David Richardson. William Leslie Robertson III. Sarah J. Savona. Christopher Mark Schaff. Julia Abigail Seidel. Jamie L. Shoemate. Dylan J. Street. Josie Marie Sumner. Ethan Douglas Taylor. Thomas James Tester. Anna Mackenzie Thomas. Brinley Elizabeth Thomas. Nathan C. Treadway. Anne Louise Nicole Tunstall. Morgan Jade Ward. Michaela Patricia Weber. Kimberly Hernandez. President Wells, I now have the honor of presenting to you candidates who have been approved for graduation by the faculty of Emory and Henry College according to the policies set forth by the Board of Trustees. Having successfully completed all academic requirements, they are fully qualified for the degree of Master of Education, or they will be upon the conclusion of the summer session and satisfaction of their academic requirements. Would the master's candidates please rise?
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Commonwealth of Virginia and the Emory and Henry College Board of Trustees, and with pride and affection, I confer upon those eligible at this time the Master of Education degree with all of the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining hereunto.
Would the Marshal please escort the successful candidates for the Master of Education degrees to the platform for formal awarding of their diplomas from Emory and Henry College. Mary Elizabeth Baldwin. Christina Barfield. Jaden Cole Berry. Amber R. Blevins. Macy Victoria Clark. Caitlin Eve Cowley. Gleason Taylor Everett Holt. Cody Allen Hurd. Joseph Jesse. Ashley Nicole Lee. Elizabeth A. McCall. Assisting with the presentation of Elizabeth's diploma is her father, our head baseball coach and assistant athletic director, Trey McCall. Marilyn Madeline Margaret Mead. Megan Ann Mitten. Morgan Woodrow Mosier. Michaela Rose Nealon. Gary Alexander Rife. Josie Kaylin Salyer. Kayla Elizabeth Slavensky. Allison Brooke Stedman. Graham Tucker Whitesides.
Well, let's give all of our graduates one more hand. Class of 2022, you have made your mark on Emory and Henry, and I know Emory and Henry has made its mark on you. Do not forget from whence you came. Remember your alma mater by sharing of your time, talents, and resources as others before you have, making your education here possible. Recommend us to others so that we may grow and thrive for years to come. Now go forth in search of opportunities to make this world a better place as you assume your rightful places in the company of the distinguished graduates of this college. Godspeed, class of 2022. And now let's stand for our benediction. And before we have our benediction, flip your tassels. Very good.
If you all please join me in saying the benediction, please bow your heads. Lord God, we gather today with hearts full of thanksgiving. We are thankful for the friends and family who have come to celebrate this momentous occasion. We are thankful for the growth we have undergone and the strength we have received to overcome the countless challenges these past years have so heavily been laden with, from the minuscule to the cataclysmic. And even though we may grieve these moments, where the prospect of what lays before us is uncertain, and we say goodbye to the lives that we have known, we are thankful for the joys you have provided for us, and will walk bravely into our new lives with them permanently in the forefront of our hearts and of our minds. In your name we pray. Amen.